Hello everyone, Blue Star Saber here once again to do another Star Wars Ahsoka review. This one is the episode 4 or part 4 Fallen Jedi, in which we'll follow off from the last events of, Ahsoka and Sabine landing, I believe, on the planet. I keep forgetting the name of the, planet. Hold on, let me just get up the name of the planet again. Planet locations. Oh yeah, Setos. Sorry, bad first description. I should remember the names of this planet, but yeah, planet Setos, where Ahsoka, Sabine, and Hyung have journeyed to find the map to Ezra and prevent Morgan Elizabeth and her Dark Jedi companions from finding Grand Admiral Thrawn. They've had a bit of a space battle, and now they're on the planet, and now it seems inevitable that they're going to have a land skirmish. But before that, but yeah. Now, granted, I am just doing this very last minute, since tomorrow will be when the episode comes out. Not to mention, I've seen quite a fair share of reactions, and from what I can tell from this episode, many are saying this is the best episode of the season so far, but there are also those that say this is the best episode in Star Wars television, or this is the biggest fanboy fan service episode done by Star Wars, depending on where you stand. But yeah. Now, where will I do? Well, we'll have to get to the episode, in which episode, of course, begins. With Ahsoka's group trying to contact Home Run so Hera can come back for backup, and during this conversation, Ahsoka asks Sabine if she since the enemy is nearby and they have the means, the map and the means to travel to find Thrawn, would she be willing to destroy the map if it means stopping from coming? But Sabine says that this won't happen, as she doesn't really want to sacrifice losing their one shot of finding Ezra. But Ahsoka tries to make her saying, like, we might prioritize that Thrawn must be stopped at all costs, even if it means goodbye to Ezra. And she's wondering if she can do the sacrifice for that. And but yeah, and she sort of Sabine sort of, I think, seems like leaves it vague whether or not she'd do it. In which, when Hyang comes out to ask if what's going on, Ahsoka doesn't really give the answers, while he ends up starting to repair the ship outside, while the at the reflex point where you have Shin Hayate Marok, who have informed Baylan Skoll and Night Sister, of course, Morgan Elizabeth, of their forces have located the ships, as we saw on the droids from the distance, telling them, the guards and the droids won't delay them from long. So Baylan Skoll sends out his apprentice and Maverick to keep them occupied. During which, inside, you have Sabine Wren putting on her arm and pistols, and Ahsoka, Sabine's putting on her armor and pistols and that stuff, with Ahsoka helping. And then they talk a bit more about that sometimes it's best to put aside their feelings. Well, this is Ahsoka's advice to Sabine, but she asks him, does he really mean that? And she says she does, whenever the fate of the galaxy is, or the stakes are high, if you will. Meanwhile, you have Hyang trying to fix the ship, but gets attacked by one of the HK-87 assassins droids. They have a bit of a fist fight, and as a result, we got someone in the comments here called Derpy Entertainment thinks that he knows me. It depends if you watch my Mandalorian streams. And hello there to you as well. But yeah. So we've at least got one person commenting on my stream. That's nice to always see. But as a bit of the fight goes on, Huyang ends up just damaging the ship to turn off its lights so that Ahsoka and Sabine realize that something's gone up. Now, granted, Sabine thinks that he made it worse, but Ahsoka realizes no, that's the case. They rush out and they start helping fighting the guards. Sabine shooting the droid that Huyang was fighting, while you see a mix of lightsaber action and blasters taking on lightsaber action, wiping out the guards and the droids. As Sabine and Ahsoka decide to head off, while Huyang tries to repair the ship, commenting it'll take longer now. But he advises them to stick together, as he feels like from his observation that they are always better sticking together. Let's see, which they say they will. No, granted, it may be fate, though this is perhaps a build up to what happens later in the episode, of course. Anyway, next we're at Home 1, where First Officer Vic Hawkins is trying to catch up with Syndulla, saying that there's a general's meeting, but she's taking Jace, her son, and Jason and Chopper with them, and let's see, that she's unwilling to wait and just tells him to think up something while he tries to keep the general, finds an excuse for the generals why she's absent, with Jason on the ghost asking his mother why on earth she gets to break rules, but he can't, and she says, you have to be a general's son in order to do them. And then they are also escorted by a bunch of X-Wing starfighters led by Captain Carson Teva, in which they have characters called Lieutenants Basie, Morat, Jensu, and Lander. And they talks about, the risks of her doing this, but she responds, once a rebel, always a rebel. And as Teva addresses her, as Carson Teva addresses her as Phoenix leader, the squadron, of course, jumps into hyperspace under Syndulla's command, with Jason, of course, pulling the hyperdrive. And then back on Sakaris, you have a little bit of conversation between Elizabeth and, of course, Skull, or Balin, if you will, or Morgan and Balin, depending on the names. They, Balin, as they're talking about the calculations of the thing, if Balin warning that if they do the wrong calculations, they'll end up in the void and nowhere to escape, but she tells him to have faith, but he replies that he lost faith a long time ago, as she's touching the map to help project the charts and the maps to the ship, in which you see Balin talking about how this is witchcraft and all that, but the droids aboard the Eye of Sion are downloading the coordinates, while Ahsoka and Sabine encounter Shin Hayate and Marek in the forest, and they end up having split into Sabine versus Shin Hayate, Padawan versus Padawan, and Ahsoka having a rematch against the Inquisitor Marek with a lightsaber duel, and Sabine originally, I think, shooting Shin Hayate first before eventually using the lightsaber, where you see Hayate using the Force against Sabine, which results in her helmet being knocked off. But you also have her using her Mandalorian armor to dodge and block the blades. Even using during this fight, while at some point, eventually after trying all the blasters, she then draws Ezra's green lightsaber. Well, her lightsaber now. but yeah. But during this fight, you have I believe you end up having Sabine trying to use the Force, or Sabine trying to use the Force, but Shin at first it looks like he's trying to block a Force attack, realizes that Sabine has no power, instead uses some sort of her rocket things, knocking her out or pushing her back a bit. While during Ahsoka's fight, she ends up using her lightsabers and is able to slash. Is able to slash. Able to slash Marok, killing him as he evaporates into nice sister mist and all that stuff. But with Hate feeling like she's surrounded. Granted, I may have gone a bit ahead with the Sabine and the Shin Hayati bit, but it looks like she's about to worry that, oh god, she stands no chance now that Marok's dead, and it's only with Ahsoka and Sabine. But Sabine tells Ahsoka to go find the map while she deals with that fight. And that's, of course, when, of course, you get eventually Sabine using the Force. So trying to use the Force, but failing and then shooting later. But before that, we have, of course, the long-awaited Ahsoka versus Baylan fight. But before, of course, Morgan's telling Baylan to keep Ahsoka at bay while she deals with the coordinates, and then picks her up afterwards, in which Ahsoka arrives. Baylan talks about how Anakin always talked highly of her, but she has never heard of him. As he explains how everyone in the Jedi Order knew who Anakin was, but few saw that he ended up becoming, of course, Darth Vader. And asks if and ends up asking her if Anakin's fall to the dark side is part of the reason why she left the Jedi Order. But she doesn't really care about discussing her past, and that she's here to she's here to receive the map, while Baylan says that he's here to secure some sort of future. And so you get a bit of a more debate here with Ahsoka wondering what kind of future you're doing when securing when bringing back Thrawn will cause a war, which he says that Thrawn's war is necessary as a necessary evil, as you need to destroy in order to create. So it implies that he's trying to build up after whatever destruction Thrawn does. And then as we get the sort of galaxy map thing, the two after a bit of a fight, and then the two end up fighting a bit. Ahsoka only using one lightsaber, and during this whole thing, we get some sort of hold on, let me just as they get during this fight thing, you get Morgan being impatient, asking the droid how long it will take. With eventually during the sort of duel, Ahsoka takes off the map thing, and I think you get some talks by Baylan just mocking her about how Anakin's legacy is destruction, and so is hers. And also, this is the bit where you get Sabine attempting to use the Force and then just using the dark things. Interrupting the whole thing. But also then, of course, Shin escaping earlier ends up going to where Ahsoka is, and Baylan is. Ahsoka assumes the worst, that Sabine's dead, ends up using the Force to knock out Shin when she tries to take the map. And then they begin their lightsaber bit of thing. But then, of course, Sabine arrives, though granted Baylan was a bit angry at Ahsoka for the way he tossed aside his apprentice. Or Padawan, I'm not sure, if you will. And Sabine tries to hold the map hostage, but Baylan, I think, eventually drives Ahsoka off the cliff. Seemingly killing her, and Sabine, in a rage, tries to shoot Baylan, but then threatens to do the map again. And during this bit here, you have Baylan saying that you don't want to destroy the map, telling him that, even though you're not your master and all that stuff, because your master would have done it straight away, but she's hesitating. And then Baylan talks about he knows about how as was the last member of this last person she considers family, as it's revealed that her entire family, or Clan Wren, had died on Mandalore during the Night of 1,000 Moons, I'm assuming, or they've at least been, or at least they at least assumed that, or at least they end up being killed against the Mandalorians' war against the Empire, or something. It doesn't exactly say when, but her family has pretty much all been wiped out, and that Ezra is the only one left for her. So she's at first hesitant, but Balin gives her word that she will come if she gives her the map. She'll be unharmed, and she can have a chance to unite with Ezra. And just when you think Sabine isn't going to do it in the end, do the noble sacrifice, instead gives Balin the map. Let's see, as he then tries to put it back on the thing. Though before that, you have Shin trying to use the Force to strangle her, with Balin telling her apprentice to stop as he gave Sabine her word. And with the hyperspace calculations in the ship, as let's see, Morgan orders the shuttle to be sent to retrieve Balin. As during this time, Hyang has managed to contact General Syndulla, telling them where they are, and requests as the Phoenix Squadron, if you will, or her squad arrives to the planet. But Hyang is having trouble trying to contact Ahsoka and Sabine, not realizing that Sabine's been captured, and willingly gave the map, and Ahsoka's been pushed off the cliff. Anyway, as the bad guys with Sabine in handcuffs arrive on the ship, they're prepared to jump to the light speed. Crashing through, and Syndulla, the sort of warp ring crashing through. Hera's group, some of the people with some of the ships crashing into each other, and with Morgan's ignoring the ships in their path. But yeah, one of them, I believe, a Rodian, I think, maybe called Morat, and the ship crashing into Banshee, and then Genasus. But yeah, pretty much three of the lieutenants end up dead. One of us survived besides main guy of, I believe, I always forget this guy's name, but he's pretty much the most recurring character in the Mandoverse, appearing in just about every series. What's the name? Oh yeah, Carson Teva. So yeah, with that, so the bad guys have end up going into hyperspace, with Jason saying he has a bad feeling, implying the Force, as Chopper's mumbling in binary, as Hyang still tries to contact Ahsoka and Ren, but receives no reply, as the camera kind of gives an aerial shot moving from the reflex point into the world between worlds that we saw in Rebels. And as Ahsoka is waking up, she hears the words "Hello, Snips," as she thinks she's hearing his master, turns around, and you see Hadris and Christian's Anakin Skywalker Episode 3 look. Telling him how he did not expect to see her so soon, with her saying hello to her master, ending the episode. So, yeah, after that very long narration, boy, boy, what an episode. This is definitely the best episode of Ahsoka so far. A nearly perfect episode. The fanboy in me wants to give her a 10 out of 10, but I feel like it's going to be a 9 out of 10 after I've said all I did. Now, granted, and I don't think this is arguably the best episode in Star Wars television. I still think, at least in live action television, I still think the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian is arguably the best one, mostly just because of the hype moment of Luke Skywalker. But also, I guess, maybe, and I suppose I also like a few episodes of Andor that might also do it, which I think also like the season 1 finale. Pretty, I'm thinking of, but yeah. But I definitely say this episode is up there with the rest of Star Wars live action television. Granted, there isn't really much Star Wars live action television just yet. There's only like three one long running show, one 2-season show, one miniseries, one other show which I'm not sure if it's going to continue or not. And this one, I know that Ahsoka's going to get a second season, maybe a third. I'm not sure, but hold on, I gotta check. Is the Book of Boba Fett? It's a Book of Boba Fett. It's on. Let's see. Seems like the Book of Boba Fett's his own limited series, unless apparently it's a miniseries, unless of course. Let's see. The Book of Boba Fett will eventually sort of return, but anyway, under the context of the episode, I do like how Ahsoka, when talking about Sabine at the beginning, is like, with the enemy, with the stakes and the line as they are, is she willing to, like, if they cannot, retrieve the map or all that stuff, would she be willing to destroy it and prevent the enemy from, like, using it to get to hyperspace to find Thrawn, even if that means losing their one chance to ever find Ezra, which Sabine seems very reluctant to answer that, and seems to imply that Witty will make sure it doesn't happen, but Ahsoka is insisting that may be possible, and it goes to show you just how Ahsoka seems to be a bit more like the traditional Jedi of not really letting their willing to let their attachments go, and not and willing to sacrifice for the greater good, while Sabine probably more of like in the Ghost Crew and not to mention Mandalorian's culture on family, it's a bit more reluctant to do this, showing some of the downside, showing some of the points of, I guess you could say, the Jedi's weaknesses, worries and stubborn, strictness on, like, Padawans forming attachments and all that stuff, or just Jedi forming attachments, because because their choices could endanger the galaxy and all that stuff. But I do like this choice, and I do like how Hyang this ends up being the one trying and get them to work together and try and stick together when they're departing. But I will admit, I do like how Hyang in that battle against the HK is shown to be quite the fist fighter. Is it a bit probably done maybe CGI like? Because I'm not sure the practical effects would have the droid move that way, unless I could be wrong. But I think it's a very good fist fight between droids. It's not something you see every day in Star Wars, but heck, that's more like something with like the good Terminator versus the bad Terminator in the Terminator franchise. But here instead. But I do like how even Hyang, while pretty good at combat, which makes sense since he helps train Jedi, isn't clearly quite enough to try and match this like HK model unit, as it's probably more advanced than he is. So there's the clever thing of damaging the ship's repairs to get Ahsoka to realize something's wrong because he doesn't make mistakes. So she goes out with a lightsaber, and of course you get that. Of course you get that sort of Mandalorian gun blasting and Jedi swinging, which is always fun to see. So yeah, and then of course Hyang telling them to stick together, but they don't. Of course, as we saw in the episode, they separate, and as a result, they kind of ended up losing their fights. End up losing the fight in the end. Because they didn't really stick together. But yeah. But anyway, I do like how Syndulla is just like, you know what, screw the Senate orders. She's going to help her friends, even though there's a bit of the consequences for her politically, at least in terms of her political career. Granted, I think this is one thing that most fans have probably questions. Why on earth is she taking her son on a dangerous mission? And even his son points out, let's see, how come you get to disobey orders? But says, and she goes like, when you're a general, you can. But bad parenting skills there. But it's kind of funny. But I suppose that Syndulla is like got that sort of Star Wars. Let's see, go to the time the Ghost Crew. She did end up recruiting Ezra, and I think he was 14s, getting Kanan to train him and all that stuff. So it's like not the first time. Let's see, she's got a young person going on to like dangerous mission. Granted, Jason is much younger, but I think it's also sort of fitting in the whole family thing. Granted, Kanan would probably also do it, but who knows? Let's see, probably maybe he would do it. I'm not sure. It depends on the kind of parent Kanan is, but actually, he might be a bit more stricter, but who knows? But anyway, I do like how we got. I believe let's see, Captain Carson Teva again, who just appears in everything in the Mandoverse. But yeah, but I do like how even if it's just a cameo, but I suppose it does lead the question: why the heck wasn't Zeb with them? As since this is such a quest to find Ezra, you'd think he would be there since we saw Zeb in the Mandalorian's third season. Now, granted, I think some thought that cameo there was to explain him not being in Ahsoka, but it seems like if Carson Teva is here, surely he should be there, and you would see him as one of the pilots. But who knows? But I guess perhaps Dave Filoni's saving him for a later episode, or even maybe season 2. We'll just have to wait and see. Or maybe it's like the CGI budget. It'd be too much for a character like Zeb all the time. But yeah. But I do kind of like how you've got Carson Teva being a sort of either Phil Coulson or even, I guess, Wong for like the Mandoverse is kind of like recurring side character. So yeah, that's always fun. Granted, I doubt we're going to get a cameo of the Mando in this show, but who knows? I could be wrong, but yeah. But anyway, I really like the sort of lightsaber duels that you had between Sabine and Shin Hayate, where she's trying to use blasters and all that Mando's fighting style first before going to the lightsaber. Eventually trying to use the Force, showing that even though she's trying her best efforts, she still can't wield it, and showing that she still needs probably a lot more training. And Shin is like, you have no power, and mocking her for like when leaving to try and fight her alone when Ahsoka takes out Maverick. But I do like how she uses her Mandalorian gunpoint, and then you just have forcing Shin to shoulder blaster thing. Wrist blast thing, resulting in her having to flee with the smoke bombs and all that stuff. But yeah, but I do like the duel with against Maverick. It's like a fair fight, and then you get Maverick doing the whole spinning thing, which I think most people don't really like with the Inquisitors, but he's trying to show off, and then that's when Ahsoka does a sort of slash thing in the kind of samurai way. Similar to like the Kenobi and Maul fight in Rebels, if you will. It was like a sort of showdown there, but the fight goes there. Granted, I've seen a bit of disappointment with some fans, given all the theories people had with Maverick. Given the biggest one, I think, because apparently he might have been voiced by Sam Whitaker, is that he would be this Inquisitor would be the Disney canon's version of Galen Manic, aka Starkiller, but he ended up just being some just random henchman who has apparently been imbued with Night Sister magic. Which, speaking of which, I do like the sort of conversations you have with Morgan and Balin, with him having his concerns about the coordinates, and reminding her of the risks if they do the wrong one, they'll be stuck in the void. I like his concerns and his skepticism, like losing faith, and his even wariness of Night Sister witchcraft. So we do have that. But but as for Maverick, let's see. I know some people compared it to Snoke, but to be honest, he was just more of a henchman. He's kind of like Boba Fett in the original trilogy. There's like a sort of cool looking character, and let's see, with like a few liners. Maybe might do an action scene or two, but I think it's fine that you don't have too much of him. I mean, granted, there'll probably be some Disney expanded universe material that might explain this Inquisitor, but if I had to guess, it seems he was resurrected by Night Sister magic, and then when Ahsoka slashed him, the Night Sister magic faded away, or he's just a being solely created by Night Sister magic. But I'm sure we'll get some sort of an explanation down the line. Maybe in the TV show, maybe the TV show will ignore it, or maybe we'll get some sort of spin-off to explain it. Though either way, I don't think it's too necessary. Though, granted, I do wish that this show would explain Night Sister magic more, so that regular audiences can kind of understand it. Because I understand it because I've watched the Clone Wars and Rebels, but I'm sure the casual viewer who hasn't watched the animated shows might be going like, "What?" But I'm fine with more. Marok's death. He was just mostly a henchman for Ahsoka to fight for the time being before eventually getting to Balin and all that stuff. But yeah, sort of like the muscle for a bit, give Ahsoka the warm up while Sabine would fight Shin Hayate. So yeah, you've got that. Well, I think it's fine. So there's that. Anyway, but the main thing that I find probably the best part of this whole episode is, let's see, Ahsoka fighting Balin's skull and all that stuff, and where you get more of like a Balin talking about his history. Apparently, he seemingly knew Anakin Skywalker, and apparently Anakin Skywalker had told him about Ahsoka, so that explains his familiarity with her, even though Ahsoka had never met Balin. Which I think makes sense. Which may make sense as the Jedi Order is 10,000 strong. Not everyone in the Order is going to meet each other, but of course everyone knew who Anakin Skywalker was in the Jedi Order since Qui-Gon, since when he was brought in, he was prophesized to be the new chosen one. Of course, many of them did not see what Anakin had become, let's see, with Darth Vader, and many of them who survived didn't realize who he was. Only a few did, which does make me always wonder what happens if all the Jedi spirits, or sort of like, or if I'm going with Naruto references, forcibly resurrected only to learn the whole history of what happened. Anakin fall into the dark side, and then retain from the light and all that stuff. I wonder how they would all react to all that sort of let's see, events that played out. But I do like how Ahsoka is just trying not really try and care for her past, but thinking it's not really important in this matter. But I like how Balin is trying to, let's see, knife on the edge and the thing. Let's see, sort of pointing out her master's flaws and his destruction and all that stuff. And I think in a sense, sort of goading her to make the first move. As he seems to, I've seen some people comment that Balin's acting more like a Jedi than Ahsoka, and honestly, he's quite the. And honestly, this episode shows just how good of a villain, let's see, Balin is, and we are going to miss Ray Stevens now that he is unfortunately passed. But yeah, I do like the duel, and I do like how it's a one-bladed lightsaber duel. I think Ahsoka realized it's perhaps best to fight with this style. I do like how they're sort of evenly matched. Granted, I'm pretty certain Balin. Let's see, when talked about, let's see, with Morgan, she is asking fear, but he's got experience, as I think he probably realizes just how powerful an opponent Ahsoka is. But I think with the Ahsoka, with her itsy efforts to try and get the map, she's a bit limited. But on Shin Arrives, I do like how Ahsoka assumes the worst, and in her anger uses the Force to throw her aside, which causes Baylan to get mad. But I do like the sort of your live reaction when Sabine is having thing and trying to get her to destroy the map. Granted, it's burned on her hand a bit, so that might be a bit of the coordinates. As I forgot to mention during the episode, as soon as they got the coordinates, Baylan destroyed the map to make sure no one would follow them. But Ahsoka might have it on her hand, which might be a way for her to get the coordinates to chase after Thrawn and all that stuff. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah. Let's see. But yeah. Eventually, Baylan ends up besting Ahsoka, and I think this was a bit of a surprise for me because I didn't think you'd see Ahsoka losing anytime soon. I assume that the only ones that are capable of defeating her right now would have been the Emperor, Darth Vader, and Luke Skywalker, but it seems that... Hold on. It seems with like someone as skilled as a fighter of Baylan, who is, I think, fighting in a sort of knight-style lightsaber combat, matches the armor and aesthetics he's matching and all that. But who is Fritzy, not underestimating Ahsoka, is able to get the upper hand on her eventually and all that stuff. But yeah. So I think it makes sense, but I do think it makes sense story-wise to have Ahsoka at least suffer one defeat. I mean, even though Ahsoka has faced some of the most powerful opponents in the Star Wars series, including Darth Maul, Asajj Ventress, General Grievous, and even I'm trying to forget. Let's see, Pre Vizsla, I think, from let's see, no, the man Death Watch leader. Granted, he's probably not one of the most powerful users, but Force users or lightsaber users, but he did use the Darksaber. But anyway, so I do like that, and it does, and I do like how it makes it look like she's dead, which gets Sabine enraged to shoot, but then tries to get the map thing. I do like how let's see, Baylan is trying to get her to give the map using her personal connections. So granted, I'm curious how she knows. But it is interesting but I do like the fact that we finally got some confirmation on Sabine's family and learning that, they're all dead. And this explains why she's so determined to find Ezra, because, well, it's the only family she has left. Arguably one she sees probably sees as a brother, as apparently that's what Ezra said there, unless her feelings become more romantic. I don't know, but I guess we'll have to wait and see when they eventually reunite. But I do like how he's using that thing, how he's using like Hera's loss of family. And apparently he gives some hints that Ahsoka's fault that they might have died or that she couldn't save them, which if I had to guess, when Sabine went with Ahsoka first time around, Moff Gideon was wiping out the Mandalorians. She wanted to go, but Ahsoka prevented her, in which she might have felt like prevented her from saving her family, which might lead to more of the whole Ahsoka leaving her for like maybe the attachment things. But it goes to show you like Ahsoka more of the whole Jedi attachment thing, and Sabine not. But I do like how Baylan promises her word to like let's see, Sabine, that she won't be harmed and keeps it. But the biggest shocking thing here is that many people assume that she'll just try and shoot the map and be done with the whole thing. But instead, in a sense, as the quote Ryan Johnson subverts our expectations, gives in and gives the map, even though she gets strangled by Shin later. But Baylan says no to her as a to saying that I gave her my word that no harm would come to her, which goes to show you just how much of a, despite the fact that Baylan's probably our main antagonist until Thrawn arrives, he's a very morally complex character, and he isn't necessarily full on evil, and I do like how he's like more it's not necessarily evil and will do some Jedi-like qualities like promising their word. But yeah, it's interesting to learn some of his motivations. The reason he wants Thrawn back, at least some idea, at the very least, that he wants Thrawn back, that, well, he'll start a war. He sees it as a necessary evil to burn down all the corrupt structures and systems of the New Republic, and arguably maybe even some of the remnants of the Empire, to build again, which might imply that if I had to guess, he's probably to plan his own sort of dark Jedi school, if you will. That's what I'm having to guess for the Padawan. Though it might be possible that Shin eventually betrays Balon, and that's how he might end up dying at the end of the season if Dave Filoni went that direction. We have no idea if this guy is going to be for like season 2 or not, but if he survived at the end of season 1, but given the fact that Ray Stevenson is sadly dead, they may have to write out the character, or if he is in season 2, or possibly cast a new character, but new actor for him. But I guess we'll have to wait and see what they do with that. But yeah, I do like how Morgan is very confident that Balin will get the map, even when she expressing worry when the map was taking halfway. I do like Balin's destroying of the map to like there's no other way, but that does lead to some people's concern that Ahsoka in the World Between Worlds might be able to travel to the other galaxy. Or sort of Indiana Jones styles print things. So map coordinates are printed on her hand, but we'll have to wait and see on that end. But they end up returning to their shuttle and hyperdriving, and end up wiping out half of Hera's squadron. Yeah, it seems kind of like it's clearly like sort of plot armor that Hera survived that, and the other sort of like important X-Wing guy, while the rest died. But I think it's fine, as it didn't directly crash into the ships. I think it's just like they were in the middle of the ring and it just walked past them. So there's that. I do like how Ritzy, you have Jason going bad feeling. No, granted, not going like I have a bad feeling about this, but I think it's supposed to be a sort of nod to that, as well. Maybe imply that Jason might have some more force-sensitive abilities, even though some people point out you should see all that destruction. You should be able to see all that destruction that you have a bad feeling about this. But yeah, who knows? Maybe Jason might be trained under Ezra if he comes back, or maybe like Ahsoka or Sabine, but who knows in the future. But we'll just have to wait and see, because he did want to be a Jedi. But I do like how Hyang is able to contact, of course, Hera to get them to arrive here at first, and tries to keep contacting Sabine and Ahsoka, not understanding their situations. It is interesting that, of course, Sabine has been taken prisoner. So, arguably, she's going to meet Ezra and Thrawn first. But we'll have to wait and see where that goes, as the bad guys have successfully transferred to hyperspace. But, of course, it's time to get to the main highlight of this episode, or at least for most people, the fact that Anakin Skywalker has returned as Hadrian Christian. Granted, we knew this in advance, but we weren't sure when this is going to happen. But I suppose it makes sense halfway through the episode. So I know there have been some criticisms, like Anakin saying hello, Snips, some finding that a bit of a corny line. In fact, some of the other lines I think some people have found corny or cringe, but I think it's given the fact that was Anakin's nickname to Ahsoka when he was Anakin Skywalker, I think it's fitting that he would use it. I do like the fact that Ahsoka being shocked that her master is here. We have no idea what they're going to have for the conversation. But let's see. There's going to be a lot to talk about and where it leads. Some have theorized that it's just a vision. He's an actual ghost or some time thing. Granted, I think I prefer more of the vision, or maybe even an illusion. He's going to test her, or he's going to show her how to go to the Thrawn's galaxy. I don't know, but either way, tomorrow's episode has built in a lot of hype for the return of Anakin Skywalker and all that stuff. But yeah, Granted, yes, the digital effects on the screening isn't isn't as good as I think Book of Boba Fett's Luke Skywalker, but or they haven't still perfected the digital aging thing yet. But I think it's probably a much better effort than what they did with like Anakin, Hayden and Christian and Anakin in Obi-Wan Kenobi when they had him as a giant Padawan, but you could clearly see his like wrinkles. So yeah, as Obi-Wan Kenobi's production wasn't always the best, to be honest. But yeah, I can see why this episode's draw the attention, even though that's a shame because everything else is good in this episode. But I'm really excited to see Anakin. Definitely a 9 out of 10 episode. Definitely the best one in Ahsoka so far. I'm really looking forward to what they end up saying, what they're saying towards each other, and whether or not that's actually Anakin and all that stuff, and whether or not he's able to at least have one last lesson. No, granted, I wonder if they'll end up talking about his son Luke a bit, because we do know that Ahsoka's already met, and maybe we'll get some ideas of when she met him. Though I wouldn't be surprised if Dave Filoni decides to do some Tales of Jedi thing where Ahsoka meets Luke, but we'll have to wait and see in that. But either way, episode 5 is either going to be, I think for a lot of people, make it or break it for the series, but I have quite a lot of confidence in Dave Filoni in this. So, yeah, I am Blue Star Saber, signing off. Thank you for joining me, and for those who end up listening, including Derpy Entertainment, even if only just to post like a few comments for a bit. But I'm going to head off now. Goodbye. May the Force be with you.